Hello everyone, it's Richard Lewis here again with another video. Been a while since I've made one. Probably apologise for that, not really my fault. I was in the UK for a month, travelling, seeing family and friends ahead of Christmas because I wasn't going to be able to do it at Christmas due to work commitments. And I got sick. I think anybody who watches the podcast knows, I got ill on the plane, so had a really bad chest infection for about 2 weeks. Finally got rid of it, thanks to the power of Western medicine, and I'm feeling good and able to sit down and record videos and content again. And today, this is going to be one that I'm looking forward to talking about and paying tribute to somebody that I have a lot of respect for, but also as well, it's kind of a bit sad, in a way, and you'll see why. So, news broke a few days ago over on ESPN, courtesy of Jacob Wolf, that the commentator, Semmler, August Massenat, is going to be joining Blizzard, and he's going to be an official Overwatch League commentator, starting in January with the launch of the Overwatch League, and it's going to be early in January as well. And so we all kind of knew, in the CS talent pool, obviously we talk, we hear things. I was never going to go out and tweet to show how my fucking fingers on the pulse or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I had a few journalists message me for comment and that kind of thing. Rumors were out there, but at the end of the day, I didn't want to detract from Semmler's announcement and fresh start, and he's definitely entitled to one. So, where to start with this? Well, first of all, I have poured a expensive scotch for my friend Semmler. I'm going to toast to you. I hope the deal's everything that you want it to be and that you think it's going to be. And I'll tell you why I hold Semmler in such high regard. This is a guy that I've known for many, many years. I remember him when he joined the Good Studio. Perhaps some people don't know this. Semmler used to be a Bloodline Champions commentator, was easily the voice of that game. It was just unfortunate that despite having somebody as talented as Semmler work on the game, despite having somebody like Too Good involved in developing the game and promoting the game, and despite it's Stunlock Studios, if I remember rightly, who I think make Battle right now, despite them having a very good handle on what makes an esport, that game just never hit the heights it probably deserved to do, which is one of those things. It happens sometimes. You can't really force an esport. Pay attention, Blizzard. But anyway, he was a guy that kind of got scouted, if you like, by the Good Studio because he was identified as having this incredible talent, great in those hype moments, and Bloodline Champions was very fast-paced, was very quick, so he was the perfect man to be the voice for that game. And Too Good, who obviously is somebody who's got a great tenure in broadcasting, one of the most unique hosts in esports, identified that Semmler had talent and wanted him to be part of the Good Studio. Now, I was a fucking nobody back then. While all this was going on, I was an in-the-trenches reporting journalist. I suppose there's actually a way that kind of sounds a bit arrogant, doesn't it? Because that implies I'm a somebody now. But I mean, I just didn't have a following. And yes, I am wearing a t-shirt with my own face on it, so maybe I am a fucking narcissist. Who knows? But the point is, I didn't have a following. These people were very much out of my orbit, if you like. They were on another planet compared to me. I was just a local beat reporter who happened to be an editor for a website for some esports that just weren't as big as some of the others that were taking off around about 2010, 2011. We had our day with the CGS in Counter-Strike Source, and we all know how that ended. So I kind of was watching these people from afar, but I went to an event in Finland. I'm guessing it must have been Assembly, and Semmler was a host out there, and he was I was covering a StarCraft event, and he was just super cool. He was doing interviews on a couch with people, and, it was kind of an expansion of that Good Studio content, and he was great, and we hit it off immediately, we started hanging out, talking, drinking. I just knew he was a cool cat, and actually, as it happened, I got invited to go and stay at the Good Studio one time. It was around about the time it was collapsing, and it was very obvious that's what was going on. I went there, and even though I was kind of invited by Too Good, I didn't really see Too Good all that much, honestly. He was kind of in his own world. You know, that's James. He was developing his game by this point, and he had his, like, entourage. He definitely has an entourage. I hope he doesn't mind me saying that. And, you know, Trance was there, but he had Twitch duties. So it was all a bit weird. And, like, these are people that I considered to be friends, but I was just a fifth fucking wheel in the Good Studio. Like, you know, I was just alone in this building. We had, like, one night where we interacted playing poker. The rest of the time I was sleeping on a couch wondering what the fuck I was doing there. Now, the person that actually made the time to talk to me and be friendly and open up was Semmler. You know, he was super cool. And even though I wasn't his guest, he saw that, you know, I was kind of just spinning my wheels and doing nothing. And he made a supreme effort to kind of pay attention to me, even though, hey, you know, he was a busy guy too. So I've always thought very fondly of Semmler kind of pre-Counter-Strike. And when he came into Counter-Strike, I think we need to kind of just pay tribute to what a fucking game changer Anders and Semmler stylistically was for the industry. Now, I've said this a lot, and I don't think people seem to realize that this is absolutely accurate. We used to do commentary a very different way prior to the Anders and Semmler becoming a thing. And this is how it used to work. And I know, because I was a caster, I used to do it with Henry G, for example, before he moved on and became partners with Sadikist after a period, you know, out of commentating himself. And this is how it would work. You would have a color guy and a play-by-play guy. I've been both. And what you do is the play-by-play guy says what's happening on the screen in a very linear fashion, and then when there's a pause or a break or a moment, typically in the buy time at the start of a round, you bring the color commentator in to add some context, some color to what has happened. And it was very rigid and inflexible. This is how we did things. It was considered just this is the way it works, you know? So I've been on both sides of that. And it would literally be the color commentator would just come in and kind of do, like, you know, 15, 20 seconds, whatever it is. Well, you see, he was able to win that round because the flashbang came over from short, and that's why he pushed up, and that's just brilliant play. But there, and then it goes back to the play-by-play, right? And it was just like that. All the great duos operated like this. Now, when Anders and Semmler started doing it, what was great about it was there were these two guys that didn't necessarily know each other particularly well that came together because Anders was solo casting and Semmler was looking to get into something new, and they came together and hit it off. They had this amazing chemistry, and they did things completely fucking differently to everybody else. They would have these whimsical moments where they would stop and tell a story in the middle of it. And this was commentary in Counter-Strike that was more akin to tastosis, you know, with tasteless and artosis in StarCraft, where sure, they would talk about what was happening on the screen when it was super vitally important, but they weren't afraid to take a step back, build up a story, tell an anecdote, perhaps even have a few jokes, banter, some references if there's a lull in the action. And then, of course, when it came game, you know, the moments that mattered in the game, they would have these incredible hype phrases and catchphrases that would stand out, you know. And we only really had a few of those. You know, Red Eye got one, Tosspot got one. Obviously, Anders has his. Are you kidding me? You know, this is what I mean. Everybody gets them. Semmler has a bunch of these. People seem to forget, you know, the peekaboo. Think about the Happy Deagle. Not a lot of commentators get these iconic moments, honestly. You've got to be a master craftsman. You've got to be the best at what you do to even become these iconic sound bites. You know, Sadikist has one, Henry has one. The very top tier, they get them. But anyway, stylistically, they changed the game. People started to watch Anders and Semmler as they quickly grew and became the voice of Counter-Strike, the two voices of Counter-Strike. And people were like, wow, why did no one do this before, you know? And then think about all the duos that have come subsequently, the James Bardolph and DDK over at Face It, obviously the Henry and Sadikist, you know, Moses in there as well, you know, who's been a duo with, you know, various people down the years. And this is, Pansy as well is very good at this when she's paired up with people. This is how we do things now. We tell a big story. The game is a big story with little moments that you need play-by-play for, but generally we add way more context and colour than we ever used to, and there is no sort of delineated roles anymore. People just talk. They talk about the game, and they take it in turns to be the play-by-play, to get excited. They read each other. They learn about the space, and narrative plays a much more important part. This evolution in Counter-Strike just wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Anders and Semmler. So those guys have got to take all the credit. And, I'll sort of segue into the next part of this. One of the worst parts about being a pioneer, that's actually really good. One of the worst parts about being a pioneer is generally because you go first, you never really get the rewards. You blaze the trail for everyone else to follow. So sure, you might make some money. Maybe you don't make the most money. You inspire the generation that are looking to constantly knock you off your perch. It's a very stressful existence, sort of being that person that does pioneer and is number one. And also the other thing that happens is you generally don't get the respect you deserve once you've become over familiar. And it was clear to me that sort of towards the end of Semmler's time in Counter-Strike, and I certainly hope it isn't a permanent end, even though I'm sure he's going to be very successful and happy elsewhere. But I hope he comes back to the game one day. Is that people used to fucking wreck him. He went from being like the most popular voice and then just the most needlessly criticized voice in Counter-Strike. I mean, it is unreal, the level of criticism he got. And I never really understood this with commentary critique from the community. It's like, guys, it's completely okay to say you prefer Henry and Sadakist. No one gives a fuck. Personal preference is fine. What you don't do is say, oh, I prefer Henry and Sadakist. Sorry, just adding a bit more light to my face. But because Semmler's garbage, like Anders is garbage. Fuck these guys. It used to blow my mind. And Semmler said it many times in interviews that he just doesn't read the feedback. But equally, you're aware it's there because it's on the front page of Reddit, which is a go-to resource for us and things that we check on to kind of just check how well we're doing. You're going to notice it. And I was aghast at some of the criticism that Semmler's got down the years. Like, I get it. Like, I understand where it comes from. It's not that this guy's bad at what he does. He's not bad. He's an elite level commentator and has been for many years and has done it in multiple games and multiple environments. He's very versatile. He's shown he can host. He's shown he can interview. But again, it's that over-familiarity factor. Once you've heard somebody's style, once you've heard somebody's hype moments, once you've heard somebody's catchphrases, once you've heard somebody's anecdotes a few times, it's only natural that locked into your own isolated experience where you experience your life completely subjectively. If Semmler tells the same anecdote, for example, across two broadcasts, it's boring you, maybe. But what about all the other people who haven't heard it before? You don't give a fuck, right? So you say, oh, fuck Semmler, he's told that story before, fuck him. He's used that catchphrase before, as if every commentator doesn't have little idiosyncrasies, like you won't hear Henry say, there's a snake in the grass, or he's been caught with his trousers down. I love them. I love hearing those. It's fine, But some people don't like it, and unfortunately, Semmler was definitely an unfair target from the community. Now, Semmler's too nice a guy to come out and do like some sort of embittered, fuck the community, I'm out interview, and he probably doesn't feel that way anyway. But here's what I will say. It's definitely a factor. I mean, of course it's a factor. A few things have been going on, sure. The breakup of Semmler and Anders as a duo is really sad in the sense that we lose this great pairing that had great chemistry. And honestly, I don't know if we'll see a duo rise from the ashes that is a game changer again in Counter-Strike to that degree. Who knows? But it's sad for that reason. And when you couple it with, okay, so Moses stepped in and Moses and Anders were a thing. It's like, where does Semmler go in Counter-Strike? You go from being a top duo to being on your own and kind of pairing up with people. And you don't have that same chemistry maybe. And, I kind of felt that I always wanted Semmler to maybe bring one of these other guys through. There's other commentators out there that I rate very highly, and maybe bring them through and become a pairing with them. But I can also understand when you've put in as much work as Semmler has and been all the way up there, you don't really want to have to sort of like, and I'm going to help give my experience to somebody else. It can be a chore, and it might be the nice thing to do, but it can also be pretty fucking exhausting and not necessarily the best thing for you to do. So there was that going on. The breakup with him and Anders definitely was a factor. But equally as well, when you don't feel you're even appreciated by the community that you're doing things for, it's very easy to throw the fucking towel in and take another opportunity. I mean, I know, I've done this. People probably don't remember this far back. But I think it was, it must have been around about when CSGO, the beta was out. I've started saying beta now because everyone laughs when I say beta, even though British people say beta. I quit. I couldn't handle it. I think the last straw for me was ran about. I'd done some coverage for CSGO, and a bunch of people over at HLTV were basically like sort of like threatening me and like just tweeting abuse and stuff. But then there was just threads of from people saying I have proof that Richard Lewis is a pedophile, and I'm going to release it on HLTV. And the HLTV staff wouldn't delete threads despite me messaging them because we had all this beef between Cadred and HLTV that I never really understood, but that's Nomad for you. So I was like, do you know what? What is the fucking point? I'm being threatened, death threats every day. I'm being called a fucking pedophile. I'm just going to go cover another game. Fuck this noise. So I bailed, and I focused on other games for a time, and then, I came back because it's Counter-Strike. I love the fucking game. I love the fucking scene. I couldn't stay away. But I definitely think Semmler's earned a break. Some of you people were fucking awful to him, and I wish there was a way to measure and take note of all the people that said all this heinous shit, because you're going to be the same motherfuckers who, like with Fifth Lauren, 1 year from now, when you go, oh, God, I bloody miss Semmler. Yeah, you were calling for his head and for him to be fired. Same people. People always go, oh, it's Reddit. Same people. So it's definitely a factor. But here's the thing. Here's another factor. The Overwatch League is a very lucrative league. They're putting a ton of money out there. And the way the Overwatch League is structured, this is completely the right financial decision for Semmler to make. I mean, you've got the option of working for one of the biggest games development companies in the world in the form of Activision Blizzard. You're contracted to a league specifically, which means guaranteed work. That, from what I've been told by talking to other talent, the contracts are very nice. And in CS, it's a freelance world. It's a freelance economy. This is why people work themselves into the fucking ground. You're all out there saying, God, I'm bloody sick of seeing the same people over and over again. If you don't say yes to everything, you might never get to say yes again, because it's the freelancer's way. If somebody comes in and takes that one gig you said no to and does a fucking great job and their day rate's less than yours, guess what happens? You don't get asked back. So people have to say yes to everything. And Semmler has kind of took the right course in the sense that he doesn't have a recognized partner. He was going to have to go to events and kind of get hired as himself, not part of the Anders and Semmler duo, not necessarily part of On Fire, pair up with new people, maybe even slot in as a host in the last minute for some events, as we saw happened out at the Blast. And while I think there's definitely there's a dozen good reasons to hire Semmler. As I said, I think he probably thought, you know what, I can make a lot of guaranteed fucking money over there, or I can fight for a few fucking gigs over here, where we've already got an abundance of talent, and he's made the right decision for him. So anybody who begrudges him that is a piece of shit. Good on him for thinking for himself. You know, we only get a limited amount of time in this business, you know, as I'm finding out. And you get to an age where you're like, shit, I should have took some money, should have saved some money, should have done this, should have done that. You know, I've always turned it down. I'm looking back at some of the opportunities I had and thinking, maybe I should have done. So, good for him. Anyway, you know, will we see him in CS again? Certainly not while he's contracted to the Overwatch League, because the interesting thing is, when Anders and Semmler did the commentary for the E-League event, and they actually went and they acted as consultants, Anders especially, sort of giving some input into Overwatch, because they wanted to do commentary for Overwatch as well as Counter-Strike. They were it was very heavily implied that you would have to choose. This is what Blizzard wanted. They said that we don't want people associated with any other game other than Overwatch while you work within Overwatch. So you kind of have to renounce everything else and agree you're not going to do anything else. And it sucks, but that's the nature of it, I guess. And yeah, that means probably Semmler won't do any Counter-Strike commentary for a while. I don't know the specifics. We haven't had time to talk about it since it broke, but you know, it is what it is. And so there's that, right? And also as well, he may be walking into a bit of a shitstorm, and I hope this isn't true, because all the indications are, you know, Slash has tweeted about this, I've heard this myself, is that you know, ZP or ZP I suppose, who's been with Overwatch since the start, is considered one of the voices of Overwatch. Again, worked the same E-League event, great guy, great sort. He might be getting pushed out for Semmler. Now, it's not Semmler's fault. The community gonna probably be up in arms, because they're losing a fan favorite and bringing in a new guy. But naturally, there's going to be some dickheads that are just going to sort of direct their anger towards Semmler. And I hope everybody keeps an open mind, because I know enough about August to know he's going to fucking ace this. Like, he's going to put the work in. He's going to be fucking great, and he's going to fit in nicely against people like fucking Monty and all those other guys over there. Like, he belongs on a fucking top-tier esports broadcast. So, yeah, there's all of that going on. And, you know, look, just as a final thing, 'cause this is very rambly, I know, but I just wanted to sort of put something out there that just acknowledged what a great contribution he'd made to the game that I fucking love. Yeah, I'm going to miss not having him in the fucking green rooms and not hanging out and stuff. And I hope he's got himself a life now where it's less stress, and you know, the door's always open for a guy like that. And yeah, he is gonna fucking kill it, man. He's gonna do a great job over there, and I hope even the people in Counter-Strike can kind of understand and maybe just wish him well. You know, why not, right? How many fucking years did he put in? How many fucking shit late night games did he cast before he even got a sniff of a fucking major? This guy is a fucking workhorse. Deserves respect. So there you have it. I'm going to miss Semmler, but all the best to him. I'm sure I'll see him on the road. And thanks very much for watching. I'll see you on the next video, guys. Peace.